You are the operant power. What does that mean? At the most basic level, it means that you are the creator of your own reality. You get to decide what is true and real in your life. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You are the one that attaches meaning to things in your life. And whatever you believe and assume to be true about you and the world around you is how people show up in your life. And it is the type of experiences that you will tend to live through in your life. Life is a mirror and it is always reflecting you. And remember, we're talking about conscious creation and the multi-dimensional world, the world of the 4D, not the world of the five senses, 3D. Everything is energy. We're talking about the energetic spiritual world, and specifically law of assumption, not just law of attraction, but law of assumption. And everything and anything that exists and that shows up in your life is a reflection of your inner conversations, your self talk, and the concept that you have of yourself. And whatever you believe and assume to be true with certainty about yourself and the world around you is what the world will reflect back to you. You're always the cause, the external world is the effect. And if you want to change your world, you go within and change yourself because you are the operant power. And this is a powerful, powerful thing to understand because when you know that you're the operant power, then you get to choose and decide the meanings that you attach to things. You get to decide how people show up in your life. It is true. It is true. If you change the beliefs and assumptions that you have about yourself and how people treat you and how people show up in your life, that is what they will reflect. They're only the mirror of your thoughts. If you want to change the reflection, you change yourself. So, if your predominant thoughts are, I'm bullied, I'm always mistreated, I'm never chosen, I always get treated this way. If you have a pattern and you have ever said this to yourself, have you ever said this to yourself? This always happens to me. I always date this type of guy. This always happens. People always treat me this way. People always cheat on me. People never choose me. People don't love me. Whatever pattern, and you keep going through the same situation and other people, then you have a pattern and you are the one that is attaching the beliefs and the meanings to things. You are the common denominator, and people are just reflecting back to you that limiting belief that you have about yourself. And if you want to change what's happening in your reality, you change yourself. Why? I mean, what? How? By believing new things about yourself. You start telling yourself new things. You level up your sense of worthiness, your sense of love. You become the chooser in your life. You make yourself a priority. You approve of yourself. You find value within yourself. You stop seeking it in relationships and in people outside of you. You become so firm in your identity and who you are that nothing outside of you will shake you, will move you because you know who you are. And if something undesired shows up in your life, it's there for a reason. It's reflecting something back to you. Don't hate on it. It's a wobble, but you could always go back in and explore what am I believing about this? This is a limiting belief. And it's showing up because it's showing me something about me. And I get to choose something different. I get to believe that this is not true in my reality, that I'm no longer that version of myself that tolerated this behavior, this treatment, or these type of relationships. I've raised my standards. This is a new version of me and people now show up differently in my reality. Because if you are consumed by the past and focused on the past, then you're bringing that energy into the present. Remember, all we have is the now, the internal now. Energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes form. And everything carries energy. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions carry energetic frequencies. Everything is energy. So if you're living in the past and worrying about the past or regretting the past, you're carrying that energy of regret and shame and reliving it in your present and aligning and resonating with more shameful and regretful experiences. The same, if you're anxious about your future and what's going to happen, and we haven't experienced the future, it only exists in our mind psychologically, but you haven't physically experienced it, but you're creating and imagining worst case scenarios, then you are bringing that energy into your present and operating out of fear and anxiety and you will align with more events and experiences and people that bring forth those same type of emotions, because law of increase, whatever you focus on grows, it increases. So here is how you shift it all. Here is how you take your power back, because you are the operant power. Understanding that you only have the present moment in the now. Everything is first created in the mind, in the world of imagination. So you create it as an image, the end, the state that you want to live in. You create the concept of yourself, the ideal concept of yourself. If you were the best, most ideal version of you, who would you be? She would be confident. She would be secure. She would be loved. She would be adored. She would be wealthy. She would be thriving. She would be successful. She would respect herself. She would never abandon herself. She would have high standards. And she would be the one that gets to choose who enters her life, who gets to be in her kingdom. You don't give access to everybody, because your energy is a privilege, and you're the one that gets to decide who has access to you, because you've raised your standards. And from that concept of self, people will reflect it back to you, respecting you, treating you better, loving you, just showing up better in your life. Now, you can reimagine people, because once you raise the concept of yourself, then you can reimagine relationships where you're treated with love, with respect, with appreciation, with gratitude. You create them in your mind, you believe them, you feel them real, in sort of that relaxed, not efforting, not forcing, not manipulating, because most people want to change. When we're trying to change someone else and we're pointing the finger outwards, then we're forcing and we're manipulating, because we think that other people are the problem. But when we look within ourselves and change ourselves, other people show up differently in our lives. They 100% do. Now, if you don't want to take the effort into reimagining people, you can simply just release them from your life, wish them well, cut energetic cords, and they fall off, fall away from your life. And I've actually disappeared people out of my life. Why? Because I have raised the concept of myself, what I believe and assume about myself. And so I don't resonate with people, those types of people who showed up, who benefited from old versions of me. Now I only have relationships that are mutually beneficial, that are respectful, that are kind, that are honest, that are loyal. I only have relationships with people who uplift me, who want the best for me. I only want relationships with people who are doing something in their life and want to improve themselves, because we absorb other people's energy. And you do become the product of the people you surround yourself with, because everything carries energy. So when you decide and set the intention that you only have relationships that are uplifting, positive, mutually supportive, mutually beneficial, reciprocal in nature, kind, people who want the best for you, people who are loyal, you determine what that is. That is how people show up in your life. But everything stems from you. And I keep saying it, the most important relationship that you're ever going to have is the relationship that you have with yourself. And once you level that up and you decide the type of relationships, the type of life that you want, and you set the intention and you're clear about it, then it shifts everything in your life. Now, I did a TikTok on this yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it. So have you ever think about this? This is how much you're the operant power. And you don't have to force, and you don't have to effort, and you don't have to strive in this hustle culture that we operate in now. My intention now is that things show up in my life with ease and flow. Ease and flow. I don't force, I don't manipulate, I don't try. Ease and flow, and that everything always works out for me. Everything always works out in my favor. But let me ask you this. Think about this. Have you ever casually just thought about someone, a friend, a family member, whatever, someone you haven't seen in a while? You think about them. Oh, I wonder what they're doing. You put energy into it. You're very neutral about it. You're relaxed, hopeful, optimistic. And then in a day or two, that person calls you or texts you, or you run into them. Or have you ever thought, oh, it'd be awesome if I had a chocolate chip cookie? It'd be cool, man. I'm craving a cookie right now. And you get to work and a coworker brought cookies, or somebody gives you cookies, or somebody brings cookies home. They just show up in your life. You randomly think about something. You think about it casually with not a lot of resistance. You're very relaxed about it. You think about it, put energy onto it. You imagine it in your mind. You release it, and then you go on with your life. And then that thing or that person shows up in your life in a day or two. That's what we call signs and synchronicities. You don't have a lot of resistance around those things, so they show up with ease and flow. And you can easily use that same energetic approach to manifest everything in your life, to create everything in your life with ease and flow in a very relaxed, neutral, hopeful, optimistic state, knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you get everything that you want. It shows up in your life, not by forcing, not by efforting. Now, there are techniques that you could use, but the technique should feel good to you. Mirror work, meditation should feel good to you. Anything you do should feel good because it's putting you in the state of having, of being. We don't force. The world of the 3D is the world of effort and forcing and working and trying to make things happen. The world of energy is being and having. And when you are the version of you who has it, you imagine it, and you step into the identity of the person who has the relationship, the money, the lifestyle, the success. You have it without worrying about the how. You feel it within you from your heart space, because your heart carries energy from your heart space, and you project that energy out, and you stay certain, whatever your certain belief is, your predominant belief is, whatever you're most certain about is what's going to show up in your life. Whatever you're most certain about. I mean, you can talk yourself into this is the way it is, and just kind of dryly affirm. But if your certain core belief is the opposite, then that's what you're going to align with. So at the core, you want to relax and feel yourself as the person who is and be the person who has it, who things show up with ease and flow, who gets everything they want, who is worthy, who is chosen, who is loved, who values herself, who is not looking for approval or validation outside herself because she loves and approves of herself. Because you are the operant power. And in your reality, you have the power. You decide how people show up, how things show up. Whatever your predominant belief is, that is how things will play out in your life. So the more you operate from ease and flow, from joy, from happiness, from everything always works out for me, and you assume that that is your reality, those are your core beliefs, it shifts everything outside of you. And sometimes, and it's happened to me, I get so bogged down in the weeds, in the resistance of things. And sometimes it takes, and that's why we work with coaches, an objective person to help you shift your belief in your pattern. And it helps to move us out of that, where we feel stuck sometimes because we get so caught up in the world of the 3D. The more you practice this, the easier it gets. But always take yourself back to, I'm the operant power. What am I believing about this? And if I could wave a wand and get my wish fulfilled and everything worked out perfectly for me, how would it work out? Don't worry about the how. What would that end be? The wish fulfilled. What would my wish fulfilled be without the how? Not step outside your logical mind, because in our logical mind, we want to logically reason and explain how everything's going to show up. But you want to relax and allow and let the universe show you that things just show up in your life, right? You want to allow things to just appear. And they do. They do. When you open yourself up to the possibility, the myriad way of possibility in the path of least resistance, the path of least effort, things show up in your life. And Neville teaches about this. If you've read his books, you need to read his books if you haven't. But when you open yourself up to the infinite number of possibilities that things can show up in your life, they show up in ways that you can't even imagine. But you just have to take yourself into the state of already having, of already being. You are the person who has everything they want, who has everything that they want, that they desire, the relationship, the love, the self-worth. It all starts within, and your outside world reflects it. When you want to change anything, always go within. You don't change the mirror, you change yourself. You're always the cause. And the wonderful thing about being the operant power is that if something shows up as undesired, first of all, be grateful for it because you have awareness. And then you can just quickly shift and alchemize it into, okay, I get to create a new belief. I'm just purging old beliefs. I get to create a new belief. And this is what I choose to believe about myself. And then you keep it moving. and decide what is true and real for you. That we're the ones that get to uh, give meaning to things, but here, approach it from this way. Your life is a movie. You're the producer, the director, you're the main character, and you assign everyone a role and you tell them what part they play. You don't like the role they're playing, give them a new role in your mind, create it first in imagination. Everything and anything is always first created in the mind. So always create it in your mind in present or past tense as if it's happened, as if it's real. And it's only a matter of time before your external reality merges with your internal knowing, with your internal state of being, your internal state of relaxed neutrality, happiness, being, joy, authenticity, because everything works out for you, because you're chosen and you're worthy, and you always get everything you want. So, that being said, thank you for joining me. I have a masterclass this Saturday, 2 hours. If you can't attend live, you can get the re-recording. It's only $25, but I'm going to be going deep into self-concept work because that really helped me. I started with self-love and self-worth, and it really transformed how people were showing up in my love relationships. And since then, I've been doing even more intensive work on leveling up my concept of self and going back to I am the operant power and I get to decide how people show up. So we'll be doing some exercises, getting to get clear about who the most ideal version of you is, and then stepping into that role, into that version of you, and assuming and embodying that identity. And when you operate from that identity, your world will reflect it. I promise you. The last thing I'm going to say, and I see it all the time in my comments here and in some of my other social media platforms, is that if you're looking for someone or something outside of you to validate you or to give you your sense of worthiness, then you're always going to operate from lack and neediness. You're inherently worthy because you exist. Worth comes from within. Your value comes from within. Once you know that and you operate from that, your external world will reflect it. And you have to give yourself permission and trust yourself and know that you're worthy of an incredible life. So, I'm Patty. Thanks for watching and tuning in for this episode of Patty's World. We'll catch you on the next one. And hopefully, we could see you Saturday. All that information will be in the description. I have some other stuff in there. You can join my tribe where I post a daily self concept stuff and manifesting tips and just, motivational things to help you become the most ideal badass version of you, because you can, because she exists or he exists already within you. They're within you. So, anyway, thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the next one.